Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2022 and the second and final part of this experiment where we're taking a look at what would happen if you had the perfect manager in Football Manager. Literally the name of the game right now. And you can see if we go and have a look at our manager, Jenkaldo Jr., he is currently with Cardiff. So last time when we left off, he was with Porto. He had won a cup with them, won a league with them, and then decided to leave that job to go and take over as manager of Cardiff. His first season with Cardiff, if we just take a look at their squad schedule at the time, so this was the 40-41 season, was his first season at the club down in the Championship. So he's gone from managing the likes of Manchester United, managing Porto. The last job before that was Atletico Madrid. Now he's gone to take Cardiff in the Championship. It's a strange move. He's made a number of strange moves in his career. He just can't stay in one job. He just moves and moves and moves. But you can see he actually does quite well. A little bit of a shaky start, but then he really kicks on. Look at all these wins, only a few draws along the way, a little bit of an FA Cup run to the 5th round. Surprising they didn't beat Portsmouth to make the quarterfinals, but they go all the way through. The following season, they are in the Premier League. They managed to get promoted out of the Championship. If we have a look at where they finished, you can see he did win the Championship title to add to his Premier League title, the Portuguese title. He is winning league titles now. Obviously, he's got that Carabao Cup in his back pocket as well. So he is picking up silverware at this stage in his career. He's 20 years in and he's just won the Championship. I mean, he's not where he really should be, up in the upper echelons of world football, but he has flirted with that. He has won a Premier League. And what we're going to do now is go forward another 20 years into the future. To the end of his career will be 66, I think, by then. So definitely at the end of his career by that point. And we'll see what if he manages to have a bit more success than he's had to date. So let's go forward 20 years. We'll check in on how he does taking Cardiff back into the Premier League in the 41-42 season. And see if he can make it all the way up to potentially even winning a Champions League. So their first season up in the Premier League, you can see there's a lot of defeats here. It wasn't a bad start. Only that one defeat in his first 2 months as a Premier League club, and even then just one defeat the month after. But then he gets to November and it all goes horribly wrong. They managed to bounce back a little bit with 3 straight wins, and then it's a bit patchy. Their end of the season absolutely horrific in this 41-42 season. If we just have a look at where they finished up here, you can see they were relegated by just 2 points. So before that, they weren't doing too badly. They only needed 1 win at the end of the season. But look at the teams that they played in April. But even then, the teams they played in May, they should really have been beating. The following season, back down in the Championship, he does stay with the club. And you can see they do reasonably well. It trails off again in the winter. He is not a winter manager. He likes the sunshine. But he does get them to the playoffs. A 3-0 win over Stoke at home. A 2-1 reverse. And then in the playoff final at Wembley, they win it 2-1 in extra time. A 112th minute goal from Jake Pearson gets them back up into the Premier League. And he does stay with them in the Premier League. So a few wins early on in the season, but then a terrible run of form. He gets to stay in charge though, so he's still going at this point. And their Premier League season here in the 43-44 season, if we just go forward a couple of years, you can see they do end up finishing in 13th place, 44 points. They're a long way off relegation, 16 points clear of that. So he's managed to create a mid-table team there in his first season back in the Premier League. The following year, he does do reasonably well, but you know, it's still kind of newly promoted team, a second season syndrome maybe kicking in, a massive win over Liverpool at the start of the season. And then as you go through into December, before that winter problem kicks in, he decides, you know what, I'm actually going to leave after this derby game. So not a rival derby, just literal Derby County. He leaves after that game, a 2-1 defeat. He just signs out and he decides, you know what, Bearing in mind the Premier League table at this point, if we have a look at this, the 44-45 season, the 45-46 season, you can see he left Cardiff, who ended up finishing 11th that season with 51 points, 20 odd points clear of relegation. He moves to Crystal Palace and ends up getting relegated by 7 points. I mean, they must have been in some pretty serious trouble when he took over. If we have a look at their 45-46 fixture list here, I mean, they actually did all right. They got quite a few points, and he comes in December, 16th of December, he takes over. And then Carabao Cup quarter-final, fair enough, he makes it to the semis, but look at their league form. He does not pick up his form, and that continues the whole way through the rest of the season. A famous win over Manchester United aside, he just does an absolutely terrible job, and that leads to him getting sacked at the end of the season. He manages just 5 months with Crystal Palace before being sacked after getting them relegated, and I don't understand why he left Cardiff to go to Crystal Palace, who finished 20-something points below them. That must be the third strange manager move he's made. Bearing in mind that he was with Cardiff for over 5 years. He was nearly there for 6 full seasons. He won 2 promotions with them. And then when they were an established Premier League team, he decides to leave for a newly promoted team further down the league table who then get relegated. And that's after leaving Porto to go to Cardiff. It just doesn't really make sense what he's doing there. But he's been sacked again. He gets made unemployed again. And it takes him over a year to get his new job. So it's not until the 47-48 season that he gets his next job. And once again, he leaves England. He goes back to Germany after his spell with Hoffenheim, and he takes a role with Bayer Leverkusen. So was it the 47-48 season is when he takes over. So 47-48 season, he comes in on the 7th of July. So he's got a full season here. He comes in the summer and he makes a brilliant start to life as manager. It does start to fade away a little bit, but he has a pretty strong winter for a change. You can see he does quite well in this 47-48 season. And he does end up finishing in the Champions League spots with Bayer Leverkusen. So he's done a pretty good job here in one season in Germany, but he decides after one season in Germany he's not going to risk getting sacked the second season, and a great opportunity comes along. He gets a role with Barcelona. He's back in the elite once again, and if we have a look at their senior squad's schedule, this was now the 48-49 season that he's moved to Barcelona, and you can see here gets there in the summer. Starts off on the 25th of June, so he gets another full season with them coming straight in. They have to go through qualifying, but they do make it through into the Champions League. And look how well this season begins for him. A really, really good run. But then he does lose the Super Cup final and gets knocked out of the Copa del Rey, gets knocked out by Man City in the Champions League. And at the end of this season, let's just have a look at this table. In 48-49, you can see they do finish in third place, behind Real Madrid, behind Atletico Madrid, so it's not the best finish, but the Spanish League has dropped down the rankings, but only 3 automatic Champions League places, so that's a sign that the Spanish League has deteriorated by the time that he comes in as the Barcelona manager. And he does decide at the end of just one season with Barcelona, having done just one season with Bayer Leverkusen, he decides the Spanish League is not what it used to be, and it's time to move on. He did also only make it in there by 8 goals, so not a great finish. And he decides to move back to Germany, hopping this border like nobody's business. And he decides to take on a role with Red Bull Leipzig. So this happens in the 49 season. Again, it's a summer move for him. He does like jumping at the end of a season. Nice respectful approach to management, not leaving them halfway through, and he ends up staying with Leipzig for just one season, so another 1 year run, but this is a good one. He starts off by winning the Super Cup over Bayern Munich. The league gets off to a really good start. Champions League isn't too bad either. They get through past Rennes, they get to Arsenal, but are beaten on penalties by Arsenal, but they do manage to win the Bundesliga from Bayern Munich. It's a huge record. The league is not currently loaded, which is a little bit annoying, but the 49-50 season, they finish ahead of Bayern Munich and win a league title. But as I said, he decides not to stay there again. So he's not been sacked in a while by this point. It's been 4 years since he's been sacked. But he does move again, and this time he moves back to England, and he moves back to Manchester United, the first major club he ever got a job with. He's gone back to, remember, he won a Premier League title with Manchester United in the 2024-25 season, I think it was, or was it the 25-26 season actually? He won a Premier League title. So 25-26 was when he got the title. It's now 25 years later. We're in the 50-51 season, is it? Yep, the 50-51 season. He joins them in the summer. He gets a full season there. And you can see that to begin with, it's not a bad run of form in the Premier League. He does well in the Champions League, out of the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Champions League, though, they get past Borussia Dortmund. They're into the semi-final of the FA Cup. They beat Man City in the Champions League quarter-finals, wins home and away. They get through to the FA Cup final. They're doing well in the Premier League. They beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League semi-final 3-2 on aggregate. And in the final, they beat his former team, who he left in the summer, 2-1. They had a man sent off, Leipzig, and Spiriak manages to get 2 goals to give him his first Champions League trophy. That job hopping, he spent 1 full season with Bayer Leverkusen, 1 full season with Barcelona, 1 full season with Leipzig, and then in his first full season with Manchester United, he adds a Champions League title to the Premier League title he won 25 years ago. It is quite the story, that move that he's made, really jumping between teams with the scars of being sacked so many times. He moves on and on and on. The next season, another full season with Manchester United, doesn't quite go so well. There's a lot of draws, a lot of defeats in here. Doesn't make it to the Carabao Cup final. Doesn't make it out of his group. Really, really disappointing group campaign, and they lost the Super Cup as well. So this just wasn't a great season for them here. The 50-51 season and then the 51-52 season, you can see they finished 3rd in his first season back at United, and then the next year they end up finishing all the way down in 10th place, but he isn't sacked. He manages to hang on to the job, and instead he decides to leave the job. So he's left with them down in 10th spot, and the team he goes to, Tottenham Hotspur, who finished 3 places above them in the Europa League positions. You can see Spurs the season before that in 6th. This feels like a really reactionary move to a 10th place finish. I don't know quite why he's decided to make this move, but he does in the 52-53 season with Spurs. And if we just have a look at how this season goes, it's fairly predictable. There's quite a few defeats in there. There's absolutely no cup run. And when you look at where they finished up the next season, he takes them down to 9th. Manchester United predictably finish above them, and he does get sacked in February, actually, in this one. He only makes it to February before he gets sacked. It's not a great return. And then he ends up being out of a job for 10 months, but then makes a return to Southampton. Now obviously he's gone through so many teams. I promise there's not much more to come in terms of job moves. He's been really transient his entire career, but he was the manager of Southampton before. If we just have a look at their manager records here, you will see he was a manager once before in the 29-30 season. He goes to Southampton for the 53-54 season. He actually joins them in December 2053. So if we have a look at that 53-54 season, he joins them halfway through. They're actually doing all right at this point. I don't know why they sacked their manager around this point. Maybe their manager actually just leaves for a better job. But he comes in and he does really, really well, actually. A couple of cup runs on the go. They get knocked out in the quarterfinals by Man City, but they make the Conference League semis, where they also get rid of Hertha Berlin on a 7-4 aggregate win, and in the final they beat SV Ried 2-1, a goal in the 106th minute after 2 players sent off through the game, and he manages to win the Europa Conference League for the very first time. Now the next season he does start off at Southampton, but on the 8th of August, so right before the season kicks off, after this game against Utrecht, he gets a job offer. And it's a big job offer. It's the last job offer he ever gets. This is where he finishes his career. And it's a pretty good place to finish your career. He ends up going to Real Madrid. They don't show the full name when you search for them, but there we go, Real Madrid. He ends up at Real Madrid. It's not a bad place to go right at the start of the season. He ends up moving there in 1954. If we just have a look at this 54 season, you can see when he gets there, if we sort this by date, there we go. 8th of August he joins, which is right before his first game. Next season, the 54-55 season, I think is what we're after here. Yeah, 54-55 season. 8th of August he joins, and a week later beats Deportivo La Coruña in his first match, 2-0. It's a reasonable first season. You can see he has a little cup run. He wins his first Super Cup final against Barcelona 2-0, which is a nice way to go. Gets past Bayern Munich in the Champions League, but then gets beaten by Borussia Dortmund. In the league, in the 54-55 season, he does end up finishing in second place, 15 points off the pace of his former team, Barcelona. Obviously brave to make the move from Barcelona to Real Madrid. Not many people do make that change. The next season, another good start to the season, good run in the Super Cup, beating Barcelona for the second year in a row. Little run in the Copa del Rey as well, where they beat Atletico Madrid in the final, so beating both of his rivals, and a fantastic league campaign as well. So that 55-56 season, despite only losing 3 games, they draw 12, finished 12 points behind Barcelona, so still not able to get that La Liga title. But then again, look at this perfect start to the season. Only that one defeat in the Champions League. He does lose the Super Cup semi-final to Atletico, out of the Copa del Rey to Celta Vigo, but the league goes brilliantly, and you can see the next season, losing just 1 game, he finishes 12 points above Atletico Madrid. Barcelona down in 4th. They do win a La Liga title, so he's added that to his trophy cabinet now with the Premier League, the Bundesliga. He's winning all of the major leagues in his career. A little bit of a difficult next season as champions. They don't make it out their group, so they're in the Europa League, but the Europa League goes very well for them. Not the stiffest of competition. They squeeze past Valencia in the semi-finals, but then they beat Chelsea 2-1, a 69th minute winner for them over Chelsea in Portugal, gives them the Europa League. I think that means he's now won the Champions League, the Europa League, and the European Conference League, or the Europa Conference League, whatever that's called. I don't think they do so well in the league that year. You can see they finished down in 4th place. It's not a great place to be, but they do qualify for the Champions League because they won the Europa League, so he gets away with that one a little bit. Is this the right season, the 57-58 season? No, we need to go on now to the 58-59 season. Again, pretty good season. Doesn't do too badly. Wins the Copa del Rey finally against Barcelona 2-1, an 85th minute winner. Is not bad going. And in the league that year, you can see they finished second by 7 points behind Atletico Madrid. And then in his final season as manager, a reasonable campaign, a little bit shaky that month there. Gets beaten by Man City in the Champions League quarterfinals, but a very good La Liga campaign season. Will finish as champion, 3 points clear of Atletico Madrid in his final season as a manager, and he does then leave that role and retire from football. So if you look now at Jenkaldo Jr., it's been a hell of a journey. Currently unemployed. I think he is retired or retiring, but I mean, look at that biography. He's been around for a while. We don't need to look at his stats. We know what they are. If you look at the overview, though, 21 club manager roles. Longest stint was 2,182 days, which was with Real Madrid, I think. Shortest time was 40 days. That's before this save started. That's the job I terminated him from to take his identity away from him. Finished as the 3rd best English manager of all time. Spent £3.6 billion, but you can see he actually made a profit of £200 million for all the clubs he was at, which is quite special, really. Highest fee paid 105 million for Bukayo Saka as well. He played 1,600 games as a manager, which is a huge amount, winning 858, a 52% win rating, 11 cups, 5 league titles, 2 promotions, 3 relegations. He really did do it all. And you can tell that he moved between clubs so much by how single line his biography is. There's none of that player biography we've seen where you get huge paragraphs for each one. The most significant roles that he had was winning the Premier League with Man United, the Bundesliga with RB Leipzig, going back to Man United and winning the Champions League in 2051. And then finally, when he ended up at Real Madrid and ended up winning 2 Spanish Cups, Super Cup 4 times and 2 La Liga titles as well. He really did win a huge range of trophies. Not a huge amount, but a big range of trophies in a really interesting career. This was so much more transient than I ever expected it to be. I kind of expected him to end up at a big club and then just win trophies for the rest of the time, but that didn't really happen. Even when he had 6 years at Real Madrid at the end there, he wasn't winning everything all the time. He never won the Champions League with Real Madrid. And part of that is down to the fact that La Liga was not the league it used to be. If you have a look at the ratings here, it's down in 4th place, and it's not been doing that well over time either. Definitely fallen out of favour because they haven't done so well in the Champions League, the big teams. But he does have a Champions League titles to its name, and that's all we really care about. If you do want to read through the biography in a bit more detail, just pause the screen. You can do that in your own time. But if you did enjoy this experiment, do drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for the next experiment. But until next time, see ya.